Everybody that fishes crankbait has heard it a million times that you want your crankbait running into something if possible. You want your bait to hit something. Now golly, good thing those are worbless. Caught one, Jimmy. Caught that finger right there. Caught the ring finger. But when you want them running into things, you want them hitting things and they bounce off, they hit and they bounce off. And that's called a deflection strike. But here's one of the critical things when you run into something. Whatever you run into, when it hits something, slow the bait down. Always slow the bait down. Sometimes even stop it. Particularly if you think it's hitting grass, you can kind of feel the mushiness of the grass. You want to really develop a feel for a crankbait. You want to be able to feel that thing, feel the wiggle, know exactly what that wiggle feels like, and know that that's normal, what I'm feeling down there. When that changes, something's happened down there. It might be that a fish grabbed it. You didn't feel the strike, but a fish grabbed it. Normally, it's something like you might have hit something a little mushy. Usually that's grass or maybe a limb or something that's up against. Stop your bait. And if you're using a floating bait, now these baits are going to suspend, so when you stop them, they're not moving. Or when you stop them, they're going to back up a little bit just like that. So when you hit something, you feel that hit something, it deflects back, stop that bait, and then let it float up a little bit, and then start cranking slowly where it'll just tick over the top of that, tick over the top of that. Got a little blood on my finger. Medic, medic, medic. And let it tip over the top of it. So anytime you feel that bait hit something, and that's exactly what you want it to do. You want a crankbait running into something, slow down, stop and crank slow. Stop and crank slow. A lot of times that's exactly when you get your bait. If you want, you can let this thing float up a couple of foot. Now, one of the things that might happen a lot of times when they're floating up is sometimes that line will get tangled around your hook. So you want to keep control. As it floats back up, you want to make sure you have control of it. So if you get a bite as that thing's floating back up, pop, you set the hook and catch that fish. Crankbaits running into something is good. A good rule of thumb